Every time. Every time. God will take care. Yes, He will. Yes, He will. I know He will. Yeah, yeah. He can do the impossible. Anybody believe it? Yeah. I know that He will. I know that He will. Please wake up. Every Wednesday from 2 to 3. Here is where you wanna be. Call a neighbor, call a friend. Everybody tuning in. And now here's your host, Greg James. Want to say good afternoon, and once again, welcome to, that's right, it's the Greg James Community Show right here on Hallelujah 95.3 FM. Listen, this is exciting show today that we've got in store for you. I told you I've got some special guests that's going to be joining me, and you might as well get ready because we've got an exciting show. We got an exciting time of conversating. Go ahead on and tag and share because we're going to talk about what I feel like is so important, and that is getting out to vote. So much going on. Today was the first day of school with Leon County Schools starting back. Over 30,000 students are in school, and I understand they're talking about a school discipline problem. So we're going to watch to see the developments concerning that, concerning the suspension and the expulsion number. They say it has doubled. And one of the things that I have been very much concerned about is the fact that, one, our children who get suspended or get expulsion from school have nowhere to go, especially after they've convicted a felon. And one of the things that I was working hard on was trying to put something in place, a structured environment, and the barriers and the roadblocks just tremendously so much, and so till some of the pressures from it caused me to take a few days in the hospital, blood pressure up, trying to figure out ways in which to save our children, but running into obstacles on every end. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to put people in positions who really care about our community. That's one of the things that is important. Hey, don't forget now, you better watch out for those speed bumps, those safety back to school zones. You better watch out for it because it's in place and it's there. So you got to watch out for that. I want to say good afternoon to a young man that's joining me on the airways. So glad to have him. He know what it is to run for office. Him and I did it both at the same time. I want to say good afternoon to Terrence Barber. How are you, sir?
Hey, Gregory, man. Listen, it's an honor and a pleasure, man, to share this platform with you today, man. I'm doing amazing. How about you, brother?
Man, I'm doing wonderfully well. I put on the on my flyer special guest. I didn't want them to know exactly who the special guest was. I just wanted them to tune in to see. So y'all go ahead on and tag and share. Joining me on the phone line is none other than Terrence Barber. Yeah, and what I want to talk about, we're in an election cycle, and you and I both We did the election cycle in 2022. We did it together. Was it 2022 or 2024? Man?
Yes, sir. 2022, man.
Yeah, it was so much going on till I can't even remember what year it was because I never thought that running for office would give you an understanding of friendship and give you an understanding of people. Let's talk about for a minute. What are some of the things that you learned during your time of campaigning and running for office?
Once again, man, thank you so much for affording me the opportunity, man, to join you today. I think that one of my key takeaways from running for public office was a lot of times people don't know what that job entails. As we were on the campaign trail and knocking on doors and meeting with our neighbors, I would often ask people who had their mind dead set on which candidate they would support. I would ask the question of, well, what is their job? What does a county commissioner do? What does a city commissioner do? What is the job of the mayor? And a lot of folks couldn't answer that question. So I would think that by now there would be some sort of systems in place, man, to educate our community, the Tallahassee and Leon County community, as to what the job of these elected officials are, so that they can de-engage how well they're doing their job. And that, to me, Greg, was one of the most disheartening things that I learned on the campaign trail. Was that it's hard to tell whether a person is doing their job well if you don't know what their job is.
Wow. And you know what? I want to say that is something that, we have come to grips with, is that people don't know the job, don't understand how well a person is doing the job, but sometimes they can be caught up in the personality, or they can be caught up in the friendship, or they can be caught up in the popularity and not really connected to the person who's doing the work. And one of the things that I feel like is so important, and I think you said it, when we look at this election, the face of the city of Tallahassee will change. It will change because there will be a new mayor elected. There will be a new person elected to seat 3, and possible new person to seat 5. We don't know, but it will change. And how important is it for voters, based on your own knowledge, for voters to make sure that they understand who they voted for and why they're voting?
I think one of the most important things is that I encourage people to participate in the process. People fought and died. People, for us to have the right that we tend to not exercise because we don't think that our vote matters. And I think that we've seen over and over again, even in the election of one of our current city commissioners who's now running for mayor, when he won that seat back in, I forget what year it was, but it was by such a small margin that I think that if we historically look at the data, we would understand how important getting out to vote is, how important it is to educate ourselves on the candidates and not just show up to the fish fries and get our belly full and become convinced that this is the right thing to do. Because one of my favorite quotes is that if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I think that, like you just said, man, it's imperative. You can't avoid it. This election cycle, things in Tallahassee as it pertains to elected offices will change.
Wow. And you know what? You said the key. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. And sometimes people are comfortable with nothing changing. And they become comfortable with it until they themselves are blinded by, at the end of the day, you as an individual, as a resident, as a citizen, have been put on the back burner, and now it's politics rather than people.
You said a mouthful in, Greg.
What? Go ahead.
No, I tell people all the time, man, I love my community. I love the city, born and raised in Tallahassee. But now that I'm able to look at it from a different angle, I tell people all the time, and I speak to my brother Jay Green and LaShawn all the time, man. I say it all the time. It's kind of jokingly, but man, Tallahassee sometimes doesn't feel like a real place. It seems almost as a facade, but people have become so adapted and comfortable with lack that they don't understand the power of their vote and how that can actually change things for them.
Wow. One of the things that is so important, and I think you know this, is that we as a people have, and I'm sure just like I experienced it, you experienced it, people saying, why should I vote? It doesn't matter. What would you say to that segment of people who are feeling now that it does not matter? What would you say to them?
I would tell people to look at it. If it didn't matter, then the powers that be wouldn't be trying so hard to prevent them. Greg, I remember a few years back when you were one of the leaders in the charge to get felons their right back to vote, and how certain municipalities pushed so hard against that. If it didn't matter, then there wouldn't be so many policies in place. There wouldn't be so many people in power trying to prevent. It was back in the 60s, there wouldn't have been so many water holes and dogs and things to keep people from voting if it did not matter. Your vote absolutely matters, man. If you don't think it does, then you're missing the mark.
Wow. I'm always delighted to have the opportunity to speak with you. And now that you're in another city and you're doing some major things where you are now, it's nothing more than you created a model here in Tallahassee. And now that you're in Pensacola, you're replicating some of the things you have done here. How hard was it for you to make the political connection with the elected officials who are there and share the vision of what you wanted to do as a newcomer to a city that you had no knowledge of?
I feel like, Greg, it's like my father used to say, man, there's nothing new under the sun. Mm. People are people and politics are politics. And I always put people first. And I try to stay out of the politics. Like you said, both of us ran our race, and our brother, listen, man, I'm super proud to have ran simultaneously with you, because I think that we were able to engage a certain demographic of the community that I don't know if they are as engaged this election cycle, man. And sometimes from the outside looking in, I can appreciate the fact that you are still as involved as you are. But yeah, it wasn't hard because I've seen it before. And I understand that people are going to be people and politics are going to be politics, and we all serve a God that can help us navigate that treacherous war.
Wow. You just said something that really kind of like gave me a revelation. Here in Tallahassee, they just named West Carolina Street. They just named that the Jesse Jackson. They just renamed that street in honor of Jesse Jackson. And on top of that is Martin Luther King. So what happens is there was a cross of bridging the gaps of generation, Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson. And when you and I ran, it reminds me of the street sign. We were from the same neighborhood, but you was on one street and I was on another street, but we were able to bridge a gap and bring out a population of voters that normally would not have engaged themselves. And why did you think that they came out to vote for you and for me?
Because they saw themselves.
Wow.
They saw themselves. They were able to relate to people that from the community that were still in the community, doing work in the community, had a connection to the community, had roots in the community. And how you not love where you're from? You know what I mean? And of course, being from Tallahassee, Greg, with it being this labeled as this college town and college community, of course, and I love the fact that we do have some of the most prestigious institutions for higher education. But at the same time, a lot of us grew up in the shadows of those institutions. And I think what we did was shed light on a community of people that didn't feel represented. And I thank God that he gave us the gumption and the wherewithal to represent those people in that cycle.
And I think you said something that was so key. And if our city is going to move forward, whether it's connecting with law enforcement, whether it's connecting with state agencies, whether it's connecting with city programs, whether it's connecting with Leon County schools, you have to be able to engage people from these neighborhoods where the crime is high, where the poverty is at an all-time high. You got to be able to engage them, because you and I saw that the turnout of voters was far more different than it has been because there was a connection. And I think we are missing the connecting link that's keeping our communities in so much despair.
Absolutely, brother. And this is a very, very important election cycle, man. And I pray that the citizens of Tallahassee, the citizens of Leon County, have educated themselves and are paying attention and are going to participate in this election cycle, man. I won't say of course, I made that post on Facebook that I'm not going to publicly support anyone. That's not because I don't think that there are viable candidates in each and every race. But my father, I ain't really got a dog in the fight because I'm not registered to vote there right now, and I don't want to influence anyone. And I also want to encourage people to get to know the candidates for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And if you got to ask what a particular candidate has done for your community, don't expect them to start doing it now.
Wow. You know, one of the things that you said, man, was so great, and I totally agree with you, is that, you know, if you don't get to know a person who's running for office, then you are going to miss out on really getting valuable insight because, you know, I mean, and I'm gonna let you go, but I'm grateful that you agreed to share with me this first segment because when you and I was running for office, we would often meet up and we'll talk about people who we thought that would have, you know, been at the forefront of supporting us wasn't there. And you learn people when you come to an election cycle because it's a person choice on who they want to support. It's a person choice on who they want to see in office. And you and I talked about it was alarming, it was shocking, but yet it's still that did not stop us from moving forward because the work was not based on if I'm elected. Because even if when we didn't get elected, I think we did more after the election cycle than prior to.
Absolutely. And I thank God for the support that I didn't get.
Oh, boy, now you said something then.
I thank God for the support that I didn't get. I thank God for putting me in a place where I could actually see the community for what it is. Not that I don't love my community, but it also, Greg, and I know that you were a witness to this. It gives you a different vantage point, a different focal point where you can actually see things for what they are. And a lot of times we got some good politicians, and a politician's job is to keep his job. You know, and I think that what we set out to do was change the community, but a lot of times people in place, their main job is to keep their job.
Oh, wow. Yeah, wow. Man, listen. Rich nuggets from none other than my main man, Terrence Barber, who founded right here in the city of Tallahassee, Working Class Wednesday, and just went on to do some phenomenal things. Always good to talk to someone who experienced what it means to run for office, who had that opportunity to do so. And in the final 30 seconds that I give to you, my brother, what is it that you would say to the well over 13,000 that are tuned into the program now?
Get involved. Tallahassee, Leon County, get involved. Don't just vote for the same person you've been voting for because that's the same person you've been voting for. There's a menu of candidates. Study your candidates. Get to know your candidates. If you don't know the people running for office, that should be alarming. I'm not saying there are some good people who don't have a name, who don't have the popularity, but get to know those people and understand why they are doing what they're doing, and also be very, very cognizant of the people that are supporting those people. People do not support people in election cycles for no reason, especially when it comes to the amount of dollars being funded into some of these campaigns. And that's just me on the outside looking in, trying to help you make the right decision.
Wow. Hey, want to say thank you so much, Terrence Barber, for sharing with us on today. And listen, don't go nowhere. Keep it locked right here on the Greg James Community Show. We got so much more to talk about. I got so many guests that's going to be joining us. We're talking about the importance of getting out the vote. And listen, you need to know that there are voting locations that are open all the way up until Sunday. And that's August 16th. and we're going to give you some names of some of those voting cycles because you need to get out to vote, because this election, the city of Tallahassee will speak. Let me say that again. This election, the city of Tallahassee will speak, and they will speak about what kind of Tallahassee they want. In other words, they're going to speak about who's going to lead Tallahassee. They're going to speak about what elected officials are going to make our community safer. They're going to speak on this voting cycle about how our communities are going to be better. Is there going to be transparency? Is there going to be accountability? This Tallahassee cycle, the community of voters will speak. With that being said, I'm going to pause right here for a station break. I'll be right back. Don't you go nowhere. We're talking more with individuals as I come right back.
In Tallahassee, small businesses and home ownership are the backbone of our neighborhoods. Home ownership has long been the foundation of wealth creation in America. As an entrepreneur, business and community leader, and life enricher, I can confidently say that Jeremy Matlow's records reflect these values. He is a leader who puts people and communities first, creating real opportunities and systems that empower everyday residents. For the past 8 years, Commissioner Matlow has delivered a consistent message: invest in families, strengthen neighborhoods, expand home ownership opportunities, and support small businesses that keep our city strong and vibrant. His words have been matched by his action, and that is why I proudly stood with him for 2 terms. I am Caleb Norris Barber, and I ask you to join me in supporting Jeremy Matlow for mayor of the great city of Tallahassee.
Paid for by Jeremy Matlow for mayor.
This is Bill Proctor encouraging you all to vote for Jeremy Matlow for mayor. Springfield community, Springfield, be for real. Walker Ford, Dade Street, Jack McLean, y'all help Jeremy to win. J.K. Park, vote before dark. South City, Frenchtown, Kenny Barber, y'all holler. Griffin Heights, it's gonna be all right. Bethel A and Bethel B, friends, listen to me. It's Matlow. Tell Pookie, Ray Ray, and Junebug, and tell Laquita too. Y'all vote for Matlow. He knows what to do. To all my friends, to all my foes, please join me, y'all. Let's vote for Matlow. Jeremy Matlow for mayor. This is Bill Proctor. Matlow for mayor.
Paid for by Jeremy Matlow for mayor of Tallahassee.
It's an exciting time right here in the city of Tallahassee, and it's election time, and certainly we're excited about you being a part of this. Listen, you need to call your neighbors, call your friends. We need to get everybody out to vote, because it's so important this election cycle. There are races for our state leadership on the ballot. There are candidates who are vying to become the next governor. There's the next chief financial officer, the agriculture officer. So there is a lot going on this election cycle. And one of the things that I'm grateful for is that you cannot continually say that your vote does not matter, because your vote matters. And this is an hour where you cannot sit idly by. And certainly I'm excited about the next guest that's joining me. He is with Tallahassee Alert, none other than Dr. Bruce Strubble. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Pastor James, what's going on, my brother? How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing well. Certainly, you know, I was sharing with my first guest. I said, I just put on my flyer today, special guest, because I wanted people to be ready to tune in. And we got so many people tuned in because I didn't give them a glimpse of who was coming on. So they're tuning in to see, because we're headed into a very, very serious election, not just in the city of Tallahassee, but statewide. What do you feel like this election is doing within our city?
I think we are seeing our political organizations kind of bust at the seams, man. Like a lot of the unity that people had before, or the so-called allegiances that were between a lot of the organizations and a lot of the people, we're seeing the pressure that's coming all the way from the top, all the way down to our city, is making people act a little more erratic. Is how I'm seeing it. People, there's a sense of desperation that we have to win these elections by any means, and we see people undercutting each other and just being really nasty out here. So it's been really ugly.
And not only has it been ugly here in Tallahassee, but it's been ugly in Pinellas County. It's been ugly in Dade. I was talking to a group of pastors this morning on a conference call, and they were telling me about some of the things that were happening in Dade County with Chevron Jones, who's running for the seat that Frederica Wilson had. And man, they said the attacks are just vicious. I mean, so much and so until what creates that, Bruce? What creates those kind of attacks?
So I think it's a sense of desperation. I think what people would have argued before is that, you know, this is a partisan thing, that this happens across party lines, that you see Republicans go after Democrats and Democrats go after Republicans like that. But what I'm seeing with, in all the races, the nonpartisan races and the partisan ones, is its candidates of the same party, even with similar ideologies, going after each other because people feel it's that important to win. So I think when people are saying that they're putting politics above everything and they're saying, I have to win this race and nothing else matters, then they're going to be willing to do some pretty heinous stuff, bringing people's families into it, bringing people's personal lives that have nothing to do with their policy ideas into it. And it's got to stop, because it makes it, how do we come back together after you said this about someone's personal decisions, or you exposed this text message thread between you and another person that was supposed to be private? We're seeing all that kind of stuff, and it's just like, this is asinine.
And you know, you said something that I thought was key. How do you attack a person because they make a decision to support candidate A and you made a decision to support candidate B? I mean, what gives a person that kind of galls to feel that they have that kind of control to tell you need to be with person B, not person A?
Again, it goes back to there's some people who are doing it because they're really passionate, and I'm not trying to excuse it, but they're passionate and they really believe that if we get this one person in office or you get me in office, I can fix everything. And then they refuse to try to see things from other people's perspective. And I won't lie to you, I've been on that side of it before, where I got too involved and I can only see things with that tunnel vision. Like, things have to be this way. And that's what that desperation, I think, from the top creates, that situation where people feel like there's only one way to solve these problems. So I offer some grace, but I think people got to start to see, like, everyone's not going to think like you. We have to be a little bit open-minded that there's going to be other perspectives that need to be considered, and then we might be able to get further and be able to work together.
And you know, with other perspectives, I feel and believe, Bruce, that it really lends to a better community, a better working relationship. It just lends more to the conversation.
Yeah. And, you know, I think you're right. And I think the other thing people are seeing is that there are some policies that people, you know, some of these policies that are being proposed at the higher levels, at the state and at the federal level, people have a legitimate concern and reason to be fearful of them, that they could harm their lives, their livelihood, even people who they love and care about it. So I understand that deep concern, but I still don't think that it supports us acting so erratically in our day-to-day political operations.
Wow. Well, you know, Tallahassee will take on a different face after this election cycle. It's a possibility that there will be one new face on seat 3. It's a possibility that seat 5. It's a real tight race in there. You got Tiffany Hill, you got William Cox, and you got Dot Inman Johnson. And it's a race that has created. There is a lot going on within the community, and I know that you all, as Tallahassee Alert, you all did research, you all did interviews, you did it all, and what do you see with that particular race as a overall view, and what changes need to happen that you see?
Got you. First, for that race, I want to particularly commend all 3 women in that race. They probably had the cleanest of all the different seats, the cleanest race. You didn't see many personal attacks or just ill-natured things, even if there was some rift between some of the candidates. With that said, from our research, I think what we want to see there is a candidate who's going to commit to the needs of the people over their political connection. And I think that is what, at least from what we're hearing from the people, that is what people want. But the money interests are leaning another way because they have invested in the candidate and they want to see that candidate there. Now, we got 3 Black women running in that seat. So it's some tough choices that people are going to have to make. Do they want to stay with the status quo or the continuity and stability of the government to maintain what it has now? Or do people want to see some dramatic changes? And I think the 2 challengers present a different set of dramatic proposals that would shift the way we do politics.
Wow.
Here locally.
Wow.
Whereas the incumbent is going to try to keep the stability of what we already have. So that's the decision we have to make.
And I think people should not have reservations about the decisions that they make when it comes to voting. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about accountability. We're talking about transparency. We're talking about change. I mean, if not, I think Terrence Barber said it earlier, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And we're stuck right where we are. So that's an interesting race that's happening with Seat 5. Go ahead, Bruce. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, so that's an interesting race because, at stake is a voice that can really address public safety. I mean, at stake is a voice that can really address economic development in a whole different sense of what we've been seeing.
Yes,
I mean, what we've been seeing is the same old, same old. I mean, at stake is a voice that can really talk to transparency and accountability at City Hall. I mean, so there's a lot at stake. And we want to encourage all of you to do your research and make sure that you have gathered that data that you need to be able to make a solid choice when it comes to seat 5 on our city commission. And even with seat 3, I mean, there are a plethora of candidates and all of them bring something major to the table.
Absolutely.
I know that was a tough one for you all looking and researching.
Yeah, we looked at that one, and it was even as a group of like-minded individuals, we all found ourselves kind of split between different candidates. A lot of people like Talithia because they know her and they feel that they've worked with her before and that they'll be able to maintain a working relationship with her. But some people like PJ Perez because they say he brings that progressive approach. While there are others who like Tom Duraposa because they say he's a coalition builder. We feel like we can trust that he's going to give us a chance to be heard. And then there are even a group of people who like the young guy, Dar Alfred, because they say he's that fresh young voice. And then there's Max Hurl, who is that skilled insider who's been around politics from the start. So it's like these are a lot of choices that each come with their own pros and cons. So we try to just offer people the information so that they can make the best decision based off what their political interests are.
And it's so important. And I think, you and I had a conversation it's been many, many years ago about election cycles and about the community, especially the African-American community, being able to sit down and vet candidates. I mean, everybody may have a desire to run, but we only divide our community even the more. I mean, here it is, seat 5, we have 3 African-American women. And I think we had a great conversation about, hey, this person will serve well. And I think that's something that, Bruce, that maybe we really need to get back to because this election cycles, man, you think one minute somebody's your friend, the next minute you understand that the things they're saying about you it really can't be true. Where did they get them from?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you on that, and I'll pledge we should continue this conversation and start doing that work. How do we bring all people to a table before we get here to August so that we can have a little more organization and people, we don't have to have people running against each other who are on the same side.
And can do exactly the same thing that the community needs. One of the things that I feel like is so important and I think everybody know my position when it comes to the mayor's race. They know where I stand. There's no hesitation. There's no reservation about that. But one of the things that I've seen and it has hit me really hard is that, man, the community that I live in, it's been the same for I've been to prison and back and nothing has changed.
Yeah, and that's why change candidates are so important. That's why people like the Matlows, people like Tiffany Hill, people like Perez, people like Alfred, because they're talking about making dramatic changes. And then you have another group of candidates who are like, let's stay what we're doing to make the small progress. So like you said, for people like us, it's like we've been looking at the same situation for a long time. We want to see a different approach. So I'm with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, the last thing that I want to ask you and get your insight on is our mailbox have become flooded.
Oh man. The mailers, as a campaign, a person who works in consulting campaigns, I personally don't believe mailers are as effective as the money that people are spending on them. And then when you just keep getting these negative attack ads, and we can look it up and see that it's clearly not true or it's a half story, it just gets to a point where they're getting libelous at this point. Like, I think we really need to do something about that. But I don't know exactly what the solution is, but people should be held accountable for the ridiculous amount of mail that they're sending and the waste that's going into that.
Yeah, and it's a distortion of the truth. My aunt shared with me, and I had to say something about it. It was a mailer that came out about Commissioner Matlow was against gun violence, and he was against safer communities.
That was nonsense.
And you know, it took me a moment. It took me a while before I decided to even respond. But then I had several people calling saying, "Well, Greg, you know, you are with this guy, and you're doing all this about gun violence. I know where you at. How can you be?" And for those who are not aware, then whatever they get in the mail, it appears to be valid. Yeah. So I had to really come forward and say what I said on Facebook, and then I got a call from the Democrat, and they talked about, oh my God. So, but here's the thing about it, man. I think if we stay with the issues, then we'll educate and we'll cause people to be more adapt to wanting to know more about the candidate and wanting to know more about what's happening within our city.
Absolutely. And that's what we're trying to do at Tallahassee Alert, is further that conversation. We ask people, come and join us. We hope before we get to election season, we're already talking about the issues. So by the time the candidates get to it, we are already informed and know we're telling the candidates what we want rather than asking them what they're going to do for us. So we're trying to bring the rest of the community along with us, and we welcome anybody to join us at TallahasseeAlert.org. Sign up. We'll get you involved in the meetings. We have committees where we focus on the issues directly, and we try to advance policy that is going to make this community better.
Well, Bruce, I want to say this very openly and very transparent to those who are listening. You know, you and I, we've always had great conversation. And even when I ran, you know, you had thoughts, other people had thoughts, but none of that stopped us from being able to be cordial, have dialogue that's going to help our community. And even now, we have been able to say what we feel is best. And even though we may have a difference of opinion, that does not create the divide. Why is it that we are allowing, and this is your own personal observation, we're allowing difference of opinion, difference of picks for candidates to just really rip our community apart with so much untruth?
I think it's just a decline in the decorum around politics because the desperation and the desire to win at all costs. So unless people are willing to accept that this is a democracy and you're going to have people who support you and people opposed to you in power because it's run by the people and people are diverse, then we're going to have some challenges.
Wow. Well, listen, this Bruce Trouble with Tallahassee Alert. Bruce Trouble with Tallahassee Alert. So happy to have him joining me today. Listen, it's election season. I want you to get out to vote. There are voting sites that are open until 6 p.m. today. I'm going to give you a list of them in a few minutes, and it ends on the 16th. Bruce, with the last 30 seconds, what would you say to the well over 13,500 members that are now tuned in?
Get out and vote. It is your right. It is your privilege. And people sacrificed so that we can have it today. And there are candidates who need your support so that they can make the changes that you want to see.
Wow.
Get out there and vote.
Get out there and vote. You heard it right here over Hallelujah 95.3 FM. I'm Greg James, the Greg James Community Show. That was Bruce Strubble with Tallahassee Alert. Don't go nowhere. I'll be right back. I got a special guest joining me right after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sandra Allen. For nearly 30 years, I have served the people of Tallahassee in areas of communications, in marketing, and other areas of the city. And as a former city employee, I've seen many leaders and officials come and go. What makes Commissioner Jeremy Matlow different is simply he has proven for the last 8 years, he puts residents first. He cares about people. He listens. And he never forgets that government is existing to serve its citizens. And one of the things that I most like about Commissioner Jeremy Matlow is he has a sense of fairness and he appreciates city employees. I'm asking my friends in the city of Tallahassee to vote for Jeremy Matlow for mayor on August 18th. Thank you.
Paid for by Jeremy Matlow for mayor.
For 2 election cycles, I stood with candidates running against Jeremy Matlow. We lost. I did something different. I sat down with him. I listened. I watched him in meetings. I paid attention. And what I discovered surprised me. I saw a leader who genuinely cares about Tallahassee, not politics. Someone like me, always counting and caring for the last, the lost, and the least. So when I see someone with this kind of courage over convenience, people over politics, and truth over status quo, I pay attention. So I saw a man who showed up, stood firm, and stayed committed. Tallahassee, don't be fooled by negative mailers. Documents show that he stands for what he believes in. I'm Greg James, and I'm asking you on August 18th, vote Jeremy Matlow for mayor of Tallahassee.
Paid for by Jeremy Matlow for mayor.
Want to say good afternoon and welcome back to the Greg James Community Show. It's Vote, Vote, Vote. Joining me now on the phone is a strong candidate for mayor, none other than Jeremy Matlow. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Doing well.
Man, listen, I tell you, I'm so delighted to have you sharing with us today. Want to first start off by asking you, how has this journey been thus far?
Oh man, it's been great. You know, this is my third campaign, but I mean, this mayor's campaign has taken me even deeper into the community. I'm still meeting new people every day, and we're kind of seeing the same old playbook from the opposition, which is just to throw a bunch of negative ads at us in the mail and on TV. But you know, we don't think that really works when you're talking directly with people every day.
Well, that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because I noticed that, you know, mailboxes across the city, and not across the city, but, you know, I'm sure in African-American communities, there's a mailer that hits our mailbox and it describes you as a person who's not concerned about issues that are in our community. It describes you as a person who is not for affordable housing. I mean, there's so many things that these mailers are saying. How do you deal with that?
I mean, first, people just need to realize that it's all completely false. I mean, they're just false mirrors coming from the opposition. But, you know, I have an 8-year track record of service. So many people already know my record, you know, that we've been fighting for everyday people up there in City Hall and trying to make a difference. And, you know, on this campaign, our campaign has knocked 20,000 doors, you know, from the north side, Summerbrook, all the way, you know, through South City. And what people are saying about the mailers is they're like, what are you going to say about all the lies they're telling about you? So I think just people in Tallahassee aren't really buying into it. And, you know, I got thick skin, you know, they can say whatever they want about me. You know, I'm not too worried about it. I just trust the people and the work that we're doing. And, you know, we'll let the voters decide.
Well, you know, one of the things that I have said this over and over again, and I echo that again today, I was not a supporter of Jeremy Matlow with 2 cycles of elections. I was on the opposite side twice. But I think key for those of you who are listening to the broadcast today is you got to sit down, you got to get to know people. And I've made some choices of supporting people that my counterparts, my friends, totally disagree with me on. But when I sit down with an individual, then that means I'm hearing them, and I have enough discernment to know what I hear resonates with me. Alan Williams is a great friend of mine. When I got out of prison, he was running for House representative. He wanted me to work with him on his campaign. Contrary to so many who told him, hey man, this man just getting out of prison, he's going to hurt your campaign. He's going to hurt you. But Alan Williams said he's my friend. Before he went to prison, he's my friend now. And I worked on his campaign. He was running for state representative District 8. It was about 6 people in the race. My area was from Midway to Gadsden. We won big. At the end of the day, Mark Early ran for supervisor of election against Alan Williams. Alan Williams came to me and I shared with him, Alan, you're my friend. I said, but I think Mark, for me, is most qualified to do. He's been there. And I supported Mark. Mark won. That did not stop me and Alan from being friends. He respected my position. Jack Campbell was part of a team. When I went to federal prison, he was on the state level. He was a part of the team, the prosecution. But that did not change me about who he was, because when I got out, I met with him. And I had a young man who was facing some situations that could be serious, but I met with him as a man. He talked to me as a man, not as a person who was coming out of prison. I respected him. From that point, he won me because he didn't look down on me. We did not talk about what I had been through, but I understood his position. He had a job to do. He did it. I had a job to do, was not to get caught, but I got caught. But here's the beauty of it all. I respected him meeting with me on the behalf of someone else. I started watching him. And when he decided he wanted to run for state attorney, I told him, I said, I'm all in. Man, I got crucified. But when he won, the people who crucified me ended up needing to call me. So I'm never doing what I'm doing for me. I'm always doing it for the people. So here I am supporting Jeremy Matlow. Why? Because Jeremy Matlow understands some of the needs. I've seen you stand up. I've seen you stand firm. And I know your votes and your stance may look like you're the one that's creating all the ruckus, but you're the one who's saying, you know, we need more transparency. We need more accountability. We need more than just coming to a diocese with the deck already stacked and you wanted me to go along with it. That's what has happened with this mail about gun violence. Talk a little bit about that for me for a minute.
Yeah, so that's exactly right. And, you know, being up there for 8 years, you know, I have the experience, you know, I know how this budget works. I've seen the games, you know, the old guard plays to direct resources to their pet projects and away from neighborhoods. So, I mean, when you look at what's really at stake in this election, if you're happy with the way things are going exactly right now, you know, I'm probably not the candidate for you. But if you think that, you know, our budget should prioritize, you know, our basic neighborhoods, repaving streets, doing sidewalks, addressing gun violence, these types of real community concerns, instead of, you know, what we've seen as $200 million going to build a new roadway through the forest, or $160 million police station, or selling our hospital. All of these things are hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that I believe should be being used for community good. And that's, when I'm out in communities, that's what people want to see. It's like so many places still need a community center for their children. You know, some neighborhoods don't even get basic street sweeping services, or they can't even get the grass cut in the right of way. So there's so many places in our city under the current structure that have been neglected because people who are just going to work every day, minding their own business, they don't really have a strong advocate in City Hall fighting for them. So that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to flip the entire script. So our neighborhoods, everyday people, that's what's driving the conversation. That's what's driving our investments, and get away from these kind of backroom deals that I think nobody likes to see. And this year, we really have a tremendous opportunity to do that. Because the mayor seat is open, seat 3 is open. So no matter what happens, we're going to get a new makeup on the city commission, and it's really going to be up to the people of Tallahassee to decide if it's the last 8 years really the best we can do, or should we be trying to do much more? And I have faith that the people really want us to see us do much more than we're doing now.
Wow. One of the things that we have been able to experience as we've been out knocking and as we've been out meeting our neighbors is these community residents are just concerned about just everyday things within the community. I mean, we were over in my neighborhood and so many neighbors said, Greg, I mean, if you're with him, are you telling him about how our roads look? I say, absolutely. And one of the young ladies said, listen, I am so sick of coming out my door. I'm tired of coming out the door, looking at what's in front of me, the overgrown bush, the trees, the sidewalks are not maintained. She said, I'm just tired of this. And I've made calls after calls after calls, and nothing has happened. And immediately we made a note of that. Immediately you said, you know what, let me get on top of this. And she didn't really believe that you was going to do what you said, because she said, I've heard it so many times before, but it got done. People are just concerned about small things. I mean, people are concerned about roads. I mean, at the end of the day, man, this journey with you has really opened me up to so much when we've been knocking on doors and we've been meeting people. What is it that people need to know that Jeremy Matlow can be counted on for when it comes to being the mayor of Tallahassee?
Yeah, so what you'll get from me, I'll always transparency. I'll always answer my phone or respond to an issue, even if it's tiny to the bigger city, but really personal to you. I mean, one story I can think of, we knocked on a woman's door, and she had people who had been cutting through behind her house at 3:00 in the morning, and she said, I can't get really a police response or this sorts of things. And she's like, they're always back there, and I'm scared at night. And we were able to get her extra patrols there, and I stopped back in and checked on her. And she was just in tears that somebody had taken the time to really address her issue. So while, my overall goal is to really dream big, really change the way we're investing into communities, so it's actually visible. We talk about investing in the South Side, we talk about investing in Frenchtown, but it's a couple $1 million at a time. So you don't really see a drastic change of, they're really trying to bring these neighborhoods up. And that's the type of change that I'm looking to do. So even if it's a small issue, you need the grass cut next to the sidewalk in front of your house, give me a call me directly. We'd love to take care of that. But then looking at the bigger picture of the city, the way it's always been isn't the way it always has to be. We can make these changes, and that's what's on the ballot this year.
Wow. The way it has been, it does not always have to be that way. Hey, well, listen, with the last 30 seconds that I have, what would you say? Man, these numbers are just climbing. We're well over 14,000 listening to this broadcast. With the last 30 seconds, what would you say to the listeners who are listening to this broadcast?
Hey, I'm Jeremy Matlow. You know my record from the last 8 years. I love to have your support in this run for mayor. I love to change the city with you together. Early voting's happening right now. You can vote every day up until 6:00 at most locations through Sunday. The last day to vote is Tuesday, August 18th, and that day can decide this election. Local elections are happening right now. So if you're on our team, if you're with us, love to have your support.
Wonderful. I want to thank you so much, Jeremy Matlow, mayor for Tallahassee. And certainly I want to encourage all of you to get out and vote. Do your research, and you're going to find that what he says, he stands on it. And certainly want to thank you for joining us this day. Also want to encourage you to look at the judges' races. I'll be going to vote real soon. Certainly I'm in the courtrooms day in and day out. So I'm in the courtroom with Judge Marsh. I'm in the courtroom with Judge Jason Jones. I have seen them. I know them, and I've given them my support. I want you to take time out study the candidates, call for questions. And the thing about it is, don't sit idly by and do nothing and then have so much to say when it's all said and done. And for God's sakes, please get out and vote. There are voting sites. Let me give you where the voting sites are happening at. There are voting sites that are open now: Leon County Election Center, the courthouse, the Northeast Branch Library, via Perry Branch Library, East Side Library, FAMU Student Union, Fort Braden Community Center, FSU, Lake Jackson. These are voting sites. They're open until 6 p.m. today. So you want to make plans to get out and vote. Listen, it's been an amazing show. I won't be back until after the election. I want you to get out, vote. I want you to join me in voting. I support Matt Lowe for mayor because I believe in what he stands for. I believe that he believes people should be a priority, not politics, even though politics plays a part in it. But there are so many needs that the people need. And one of the things that you know about me, I'm always fighting for the last, the least, and the lost. And if you see me standing with somebody, you best believe I believe in them, and you best believe they believe in what I believe in when it comes to the communities that we serve. Until next week, I want you to get out and vote. And not only get out and vote, but I want you to be heard. Take somebody with you. Don't do it alone. I'm Greg James from the Greg James Community Show, and I'm saying it's time that we vote. Until then, be blessed.
It's Hallelujah 95.